We are more or less familiar with the famous novel Dracula by Bram Stoker, and the horrifying legend of vampires and bloodsuckers. However, did you know that the real inspiration behind the novel may have been a murderous noblewoman who lived in the late 16th century? In fact, this woman, Countess Elizabeth Bathory, is the Guinness World Record holder for most prolific female serial killer. Bathory was born in 1560 in Hungary to a noble family, and she got married to Frank Nadasdy, a Hungarian war hero, when she was 15. The two settled in a big castle that belonged to Bathory's husband. But since Nadasdy was busy waging war against the Ottoman Empire for most of his life, full control of the castle fell to Bathory, more so when her husband died in 1604. Since Bathory was a powerful noblewoman of her time, a lot of servants and minor noblewomen were sent to her castle to work or receive education. According to witnesses, it was around this time that Bathory began murdering these poor girls. Her husband, being a famed war hero, had schooled her in techniques of torture before his death, and Bathory decided that this knowledge should be put to use one way or another. Allegedly, Bathory tortured her victims in horrible ways before murdering them, such as burning her victims with hot irons, pouring ice water over their naked bodies, sewing their lips together, whipping them with the stinging nettles, and biting chunks of flesh off of her victims. Some of them were even covered in honey and left outside for insects to feast on. Worst of all, she was depicted as a woman bathing in the blood of virgins to recapture her youth, thus giving her the bloodsucker's reputation. Her status as wealthy noblewoman helped her elude capture for 6 years, until the king sent his representative Georgi Thurzo to investigate complaints against her. Reportedly, Thurzo caught her in the middle of torturing a victim, and she was immediately put on house arrest. Thurzo gathered over 250 witness statements against Bathory, and one witness even claimed to have seen a book kept by Bathory in which she recorded the details of her 650 victims. Again, as a noblewoman, the court could not openly prosecute her, but her servants did not have this privilege. 4 of Bathory's servants were arrested and tortured extensively for information. One servant was even accused of using magic to aid Bathory in torturing her victims. Although these servants only confessed to burying bodies and not to direct involvement in murder, they were executed for helping her carrying out her crimes, and she herself remained under house arrest for 4 years until she died in 1614. You would think everyone should have been happy that a sadistic murderer was dead, but that wasn't the case. In fact, some Hungarian scholars claim that these allegations against Bathory were nothing more than a political propaganda to seize her power. They claim that the king owed a sizable debt to Bathory, which he did not wish to pay. Also, Bathory's own political inclinations were considered a threat to the court, and her sons-in-law wished to gain the control of her estate. Moreover, most of the testimonies Thurzo gathered were provided by people who were indebted to him, and the servants only confessed to some things under extensive torture, which makes them unreliable. Overall, there are some controversial events in history that are not easy to confirm. After all, who knows what really happened in the early 17th century in a big castle in Hungary? However, it is unlikely that Bathory was completely innocent. There are various tales of her harsh treatment towards her servants, but nothing remotely close to these allegations. What do you think?